Welcome to week 45 of the £1 a day challenge. So this week I've been working on creating my first ever e-commerce store. It has been a daunting task for me. There's a whole bunch of things that I didn't really know before that I've been jumping in to try and understand. But progress is getting there nonetheless. I'm working on it. And so this week I wanted to share with you how progress is going and everything I've learned along the way. And towards the end of this video I'm going to give you my 7 favourite tips, in which all of these are derived from mistakes I've made and just things I saw that really kind of benefited making the store look a little bit better. So hopefully these tips will help you convert a few more sales. But first, I want to jump in and say this. If you are in a situation like I have been for the past few years, where you've wanted to start an online store and you're spending ages working hard, researching, finding all these videos on YouTube, but you're just keeping on going, saying, I need to learn more before I start. And I understand that completely. But what I do have to say about that is don't worry about that. I promise you, the best way to learn and actually grow confidence in actually building an e-commerce store online is by actually doing it. I know it might sound silly if you feel like you don't know much to start off with, but really, the best way to learn is by jumping in and learning from that. You'll learn from experience from what you're doing, and eventually your knowledge and confidence will grow. And this will be actually practical knowledge, not knowledge from a book where it's just hard to see it being applicable when you actually start designing your website. So honestly, the best advice I could give you is to actually jump in. Think of a domain name, which is the website name, so yourwebsite.com. Try and buy one of those, try and get the best one that you think matches the brand that you want. And then design a logo which matches the brand, so you're ready. And then jump in and just start designing that website. And the great thing is, you can start and your website won't even go live until you make it live. So you have as long as you want until you feel happy that it's actually good enough. So it's not the end of the world, and it definitely doesn't have to be perfect. Because no matter how much you learn, you're always going to make mistakes, and if you hold yourself back by thinking you have to learn more, you're just never going to start, because honestly, there's so much to do. So, purchase a domain name and get started. I promise you will not regret it. Anyway, so with that motivational rant over, I'll get to what I've been doing over this week. I tried to take my own advice and I jumped in, even though I wasn't quite sure what to look at. So, the week before, I created my logo, which added to the theme of the idea of where I saw my brand going. And then I bought a domain name which matched exactly to the actual brand name that I wanted. And this was through Bluehost, which so far is probably the best hosting method I've seen so far. And also, through Bluehost, it allows me to go straight through onto WordPress so I can start making that website. And then from there, I just followed tutorials on YouTube to give me a guideline of how I wanted to create my website. And then I just went off on my own path to give myself a bit of creativity and allow the brand to go where I wanted it to go. I may eventually give you a tutorial of my perfect style for creating a website, but online there are already some very good tutorials out there who walk you step by step through how you actually create your first e-commerce store. And they'll probably explain the process a lot better than me right now. So instead of me giving you a full tutorial right now, I'll give you a link in the description of my 2 favourite videos that I've been using. So as for my progress, it's going pretty well. There's definitely a lot to learn, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't know beforehand actually. Particularly with ecommerce, there was a lot of things that I hadn't seen before, so it was difficult for me to get the grips of. But just trust yourself that you can get through it, because I'm pretty sure I can as well, and if I can, you can, I'm sure. So just stick with it, and eventually you'll get the hang of it, and hopefully you'll get your store started. But my store is almost fully complete. It's still offline right now, because I still need to add a few more products and just get the descriptions right. But I'm getting really excited because it's almost there, and I can finally almost share with you how it's actually going to go. So if you do want to get a full tutorial for a good comprehensive idea of how you can actually create your first e-commerce website, obviously there's those links in the description. But for now, I'm going to give you my 7 favourite tips from what I've learned from my mistakes and what I've picked up along the way to actually make the best website you can. So hopefully these tips will help you convert a bit more once your website is created. Tip number 1, have a great hero image for your website. If you didn't know, the hero image is, I'm sure you've noticed it before, the big image that you get right on the start of the homepage. This is going to be the first thing that your customer sees. So obviously, with this image, it's super important to give off the right idea of what your brand is about. You want the customer to go on your site and know exactly what they're looking for. The image has to be of good quality and relevant to your brand. Make sure it is eye-catching, and make sure there is a little bit of text on there that just gives them a good idea of what they're going to expect from your store. And perhaps something like a button to link them to your on sale items or something, a call to action that'll just bring customers straight to actually buying products in your store. Hopefully that would help with conversions. And this leads slightly on to tip number 2, which is follow a theme. You want to have a certain colour scheme and the text to match all the way throughout the website. A great idea to this is if you could try and match the colours of your logo, because then your whole brand is almost being seen throughout the website. And this can be a great way to just make your website look neat and professional and to make your brand much more memorable. Tip number 3 is a little bit more technical, it's performance speed. Some studies have shown that if a customer clicks onto a website, if it takes longer than 3 seconds to upload, 40% of customers will click off. So this obviously shows that it's vital for quick upload times of your website. If it doesn't, then you're almost losing half your customers before they even see your website. So the best way to have a good check of this is a website called GT Metrics. I'll leave a link in the description below. But what this website does is it runs a quick check on your website and it says how quickly it uploads and a big list of all the issues which is slowing your website down. And it gives lots of useful tips on how you can counteract this and gradually working through this you can work down your upload time. So tip number 4 is pay attention to SEO. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And this basically means how easy is it for Google to be related to your website. So if somebody searches for a certain term, how easily can they link from that term straight to your website? So a better ranked SEO website will be higher up in the ranking list in Google. So make sure you're very aware of all the key terms that you want to rank for. So for my website is kind of a beach apparel kind of store. So I want to include lots of terms like beach, seafront, oceanside, beach apparel, and all those kinds of things. Because when people are actually searching for these, Google will automatically know that I've been typing lots of those things into my website. So obviously my website is about that. So I'm more likely to be ranked for those terms. And the right kind of customers will go to my website. A great thing to help you with your SEO on your website is a plugin called Yoast SEO. It basically kind of does all the helpful work for you. It spots all the things that you should be adding and gives you a score at the end of your text to say how good your rating is for SEO. Number 5 is use professional mockups for your designs. There's a really cool website called Placeit where you can put your designs onto models wearing just plain t-shirts, but your logo can go onto it, so it's like they'd actually been in a photo shoot for your product. So doing this will help conversions to your site because the customer will now have a good positive image of what the product will look like if they were to wear it. Number 6 is have a favicon. This is, if you look into the top bar and all of the tabs, you'll notice that most websites will have a small image logo on there. Without having these, you'll just get that little world sign and it'll look super unprofessional. So make sure you keep up to date with all the good websites and have one of these. This can be done in your WordPress website in the same area where you add your logo into the header, but make sure it fits into this size because obviously it's going to be a smaller area. And then finally, tip number 7, and this very much leads on to what I was saying before. Don't be a perfectionist about this. Every store is different and unique, which makes the internet so wonderful. So embrace your website, be creative and be yourself. Remember, nobody will see it if you don't post it. So you don't have to be perfect before you begin. Make sure you just jump in and then you can progress and make it look better from there. So don't be a perfectionist, but always be on the lookout to improve and just work on things for your store. Be proactive to feedback and just do your best to bring the best customer experience you possibly can. So those are my 7 tips. I hope they're useful and I hope to bring you some solid feedback next week of how my actual store went when it went live. Are you trying to start your own e-commerce store too? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. How is your progress going? But thank you for watching and I hope you can stay tuned for my next update next week, where hopefully I'll have some feedback to get back to you on how actually opening up your first e-commerce store goes.